So we built this creature creator for Spore. It was one of the underlying parts of Spore, one of many parts. And we gave it out to the community. And whenever you kind of start a game community, you never know what's going to happen. You're basically flipping a switch, and all of a sudden the community comes to life, starts growing, and starts doing unpredictable, scary, amazing things. And we're kind of right at that stage with Spore right now. When we released the creature creator about a month and a half ago, instantly went to the top of the sales charts. We have basically a free download version, and then a $10 version that has all the parts enabled. You know, the general idea behind it was that if we released the creature creator early before the game, we could start populating our databases and start getting a lot of content up there that when people buy the game on day one, there's already a huge amount of creatures in the world to populate their games with. Now, looking at what happened with The Sims, how many people were creating characters, because we did something like this with The Sims 2. My rough estimate was that, I was hoping we'd get about 100,000 creatures by the time the game shipped in 7th of September. Instead, after we released the creature creator, we got 100,000 creatures in about 22 hours. Long term, I was hoping that we might get about 1 million of them by the end of this year. In fact, we hit over 1 million within about a week. So the amount of creativity this represents is absolutely astounding. The number of species that we have, unique species right now in Sporepedia, which is our online website database, is at over 2.5 million. And it turns out if you look at the number of known species on Earth, that's only 1.5 million. So we actually exceeded the number of known species on Earth very rapidly. As a matter of fact, we did that in about 18 days. And by some accounts, God did that in about 7 days. So in some sense, our Spore fans represent about 38% of creative capacity of God. Which is an interesting metric to me, and I use that, big G, so I want to have a metric. So we're 0.38 G right now. That's distinguished between small G and gravity. But in some sense, I think of our fans as representing this huge creativity engine that now is just churning out amazing, cool stuff beyond our imagination. So I think we're going to be at about 1 G by the time the game launches, and maybe up to around 3 Gs by the end of this year. And that's just one editor out of several in Spore. The stuff that they've been making is also amazing. We didn't give them any robot parts, and we were kind of thinking, oh, it would be cool if we gave them the ability to make robots. But they didn't seem to find that a limitation at all. They used the existing parts to make amazing robots. We didn't think they could do humans, because we had tried and we couldn't do it. They made amazing humans. We tried making realistic creatures, and we couldn't do it. Our internal art staff could not make realistic Earth animals, but the fans were able to do it in a matter of days. They were able to do kind of scary, creepy things. They were also doing things that weren't creatures at all. They were using our existing creature editor to make just anything they could think of. And so I can't wait to see what they actually do when they get things like the building editor and the vehicle editor that are actually designed for stuff like this. But also a lot of what they were making was just very artistic, very beautiful stuff. And it was very inspiring to see them kind of pushing the boundaries of this tool that we've spent so long developing. Of course, when people make stuff, they want to share it. So there's an integrated YouTube upload. So when you make a creature, you can actually film a little movie of it, and then with one click, upload it directly to YouTube. Within about 2 weeks, we had over 14,000 YouTube videos uploaded, and we were actually slowing down the YouTube servers. We also had a contest on our website where we asked a lot of celebrities to come in and build a creature. And it wasn't so much we wanted to see what they made, but almost if a celebrity can do it, then anybody can do it. That means a 6-year-old can. And it was actually kind of interesting to kind of look at some of these people and the kind of creatures they made and how they kind of, in some sense, reflected their personality. So Richard Branson had Green Guy, which is, I guess, kind of a money reference or something. Santana had like a party animal. David Lynch had the creepy 3-to-1 guy. So it's kind of interesting to see how these creatures become kind of internal reflections of these celebrities. We did a lot of prototypes on Spore, about 200. Basically exploring all the different aspects of the gameplay development, simulation, science, gameplay, etc. We decided that, we'd never done this before, but we decided that it would be interesting to give these away to our fans. And so if you go to our website right now, every week we're posting new prototypes. You can download these for free and play with them. Some of these are very kind of detailed scientific simulations, but we thought that it would be interesting for the fans to get kind of a behind-the-scenes look at what game development's about. And again, part of kind of intersecting Spore with science, and maybe sparking interest in certain people that maybe are a little bit more hardcore, or maybe a little bit more scientifically kind of oriented. We filmed a documentary with the National Geographic Channel, where basically we went around and interviewed a lot of biologists working in evolutionary biology. We brought them into our studio and had them use Spore to explain concepts of evolution. And this is actually airing on the National Geographic Channel in the US the week the game launches. We're also including a copy of it in a black edition of the game. We're also doing a lot of stuff with the SETI Institute, which is one of the big inspirations for the game to begin with. It turns out the original researchers in SETI, Frank Drake, Jill Tarter, are still working there and running the institute, and they're just about 40 miles down the road from us. And so we're doing a lot of things in conjunction with them. Again, kind of making this association between science and entertainment. Now, a lot of people are kind of, thinking, is Spore going to be as big as The Sims? And it's kind of like The Sims is our bigger brother. Will it ever measure up? And this is a question we won't know for a while. We're just getting some kind of early indication right now. Listening to what people are doing with the creature creator is a good early indicator. There's this old saying, the plural of anecdote is not data, which is to say it's hard to take a few, kind of second-hand experiences and abstract it out into a valid data point. But yet, what we've heard from people so far that are kind of playing with the creature creator, exposing it to a wide variety of non-gamers, kids, older people, women that don't play games, is that they're finding it very accessible. The people who are not into games still, when they come up with the creature creator, these stories are very much like the ones I heard from the Sims players early on. That my girlfriend never plays computer games, but she saw this and just couldn't get her hands off of it. And we're starting to hear that about the Spore creature creator already, which I think is a good early indication. Now, there are a couple of deep messages that when people play Spore, I hope they come away with. And these aren't meant to be overtly educational, but more after time, you kind of get a sense of these things. One of the deeper messages is that science is a unitary endeavor. We tend to separate sciences out in all these different subjects. They all have their own languages. They're taught differently in school. But really, all these different things really want to represent the world around us in different ways to understand it. So Spore really wants to take all these sciences and collapse them in one kind of world viewpoint. Another one is life is very diverse. I've never seen a good evolution game because most evolution games before were made of very simple sets of component parts. You really couldn't have a huge diversity of life forms in these games. Now, with the power that we have in modern computers and the kind of systems that we have in Spore, as you've seen, players can create wonderfully diverse, life forms and then have them in this world. So you're never encountering the same thing twice. Another thing, I've always loved astronomy in space, but it's always disappointed me the way astronomy is presented and taught, is that it's always presented very two-dimensionally. You look at star maps, you go to a planetarium, and space is not flat. Space is wonderfully three-dimensional. And it's very dynamic, too. When you see a galaxy, you normally see a static galaxy, it's just one picture. But if you see a galaxy basically millions of years a second, it's moving, it's dynamic, it's this beautiful-looking thing, but it's never presented that way. And once you see these things animated at full speed, you start developing interesting intuitions for them. Well, there have been a lot of space games, obviously, and even the space games that have vast amounts of space, when we look at what they are actually representing, they have maybe a few hundred stars that you're playing these games over. But in fact, a galaxy is an immense, huge thing, and that was kind of another one of the deep underlying things that I want somebody to walk away from the game with. So these aren't kind of educational lessons that we beat somebody over the head with. These are the things that I think they just kind of come to over time after playing the game through osmosis. But at the end of the day, I think the most important lesson that want people to come away from Spore with is the fact that anybody can be creative. We went, to a lot of effort to make sure that in like 20 mouse clicks, a player could make something that was roughly the quality of a Pixar character creator. And that's something that would normally take a professional weeks to create. And I think people have this creativity latent in their imagination. And I want people to be able to experience the joy of kind of extracting that out into something that they can share with other people and their friends. So I'm going to pop into a really quick game demo here. I'll show you some parts of the game that you may or may not have seen before. Oh, okay. Well, that's actually the game, right? Okay. So this is the top level of Spore. Basically, this galaxy that we're playing in here. This is where I can create a new game at different kind of game levels, depending on which ones I've unlocked. It's also where I will go back and access my save games. I'm going to load a save game here.